Welcome, everyone. I'm Coach Nesci from Shooting School Basketball, and you are listening to Meet Your College Hoops Coach. We chat with college coaches to get you an inside view of colleges and their basketball programs. We have a great show for you today. With us is the head coach of St. Joe's College in Brooklyn. Coach Cocozello has just completed his 17th season. Is that correct, Coach?
Coach? I think 18. You lose count after a while, but I think it is 18.
Sorry, Coach. I don't want to cut you short. So I stand corrected. But 18 seasons at St. Joe's College, and being someone who's had a lengthy tenure at one institution, I certainly understand that is quite an accomplishment, and look forward to speaking with you today, Coach. So welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me, Coach.
Great. So I guess, Coach, if we could start, maybe if you can give us like a brief description of the college, an overview.
Yes. Yes, it's located downtown Brooklyn, within minutes from the city, but it's like a hidden gem. Not a lot of people know about St. Joseph's, and having gone to St. Peter's High School in Staten Island, I really equate St. Joseph's to a glorified high school. It's a small school setting, under 1,000 students in the undergraduate program. It's a great family environment because it's so small. Everyone knows who you are. The professors know who you are. You're not a number, you're a person. To everybody, administration, staff, faculty, the custodial staff, everybody knows who you are. We have the security guards, the relationships that our players and all of the students have with the security guards. It speaks volumes to what a family environment it is. Cliche, but that's really what St. Joseph's College is.
Great. And Coach, what about the as regards to the students and on campus or off campus? Do you offer any sort of dormitories?
The school did set up dorms at the old New York Hotel. So St. Francis College has been there. LIU has been there. We have been there. It's off campus, which is, I think, we haven't had a whole lot of success bringing in men's basketball players that stay in the dorms. And I think part of it is Division III men's basketball is so competitive. We've had a couple stay there. We've had a few. We have somebody in the dorms right now. We had a couple student athletes this past year, but it's a good 20-minute walk from school. You're in downtown Brooklyn. It's cold in the winter after practice at night. So, we'll help drive a guy back here or there. But if we don't have a practice or, during the non-season, it's not the easiest thing. They provide shuttles to and from school, but if you have a late class, you may miss that shuttle. If you have a late practice, you could miss the shuttle. But the dorms are very nice, but not on campus is difficult. And when I speak to families, because, when I speak to them, I always try and point out the things that as a parent, I wouldn't like.
Right.
And because if you could get through those obstacles, then we know that we're going to be able to offer the things that are going to, entice you.
But they're and again, coming from a school at NYU where I was, where, we're talking about everyone lives on, lives in the dorm or off-campus housing. But the realities, Coach, and I'm well aware of it, is that there are students that are going to be commuters. Like some students don't want to go away to school, meaning live away. So there's going to be a place, you're going to be able to find players. It's just a matter of, I guess, going through that recruiting process as we all do, and finding those that want to stay close to home. And, I would then imagine probably your recruiting is pretty much the tri-state area, or, a smaller circle, if that's correct.
Yes, it is. It is. Generally, Jersey a little bit, Staten Island is a big part of it, Brooklyn, Queens, obviously Manhattan, Bronx, all of them are a part. The large majority of our players over the years have all been local. And it sort of parallels the athletic program, particularly men's basketball, with the school itself being family oriented, the majority of our fans at home games are family.
Yeah.
And that helps foster that family environment as well.
That's neat. And so, and as regards to the programs, Coach, the academic programs, what are like the more popular majors, at St. Joseph's College?
We offer a lot. I think probably the biggest is the child study program. The school, a lot of females come to the school where they end up ultimately teaching. The men do it as well, but I think on the men's side, a lot of students will go into business. We've had over the past few years, I would say over the past 10 years or so, we've had quite a few biology majors, and we had an assistant coach who just completed his 11th year as an ER doctor. We have a couple of students that graduated 4 years ago that are in medical school now. So criminal justice is another one as well.
Wow. So you have a kind of a broad base of potential offerings for the students. That's kind of interesting for a smaller school. That's, I would imagine, a bit of a plus. My wife, I know we probably talked about this in the past, but my wife is a St. Joseph's graduate, and she's a teacher.
Yes.
As you pointed out, yes. But
Yes.
back in those days, Coach, which is way back, there was a very, very, very small number of male students. Like there was a very small number of male students at that time, which I know. What's the percentage of male to female?
I don't know it exactly. The female, I think our enrollment this past year was around 960 undergraduate. I would say roughly, if I guesstimate, it would probably be maybe 300 men.
Okay, gotcha.
But going back to it too, I graduated 95, and I was one of 10 males in the graduating class.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so on the recruiting side of things, Coach, and I know you've been through it, and you've taken the program from before it was Division III and have made it to the competitive Division III level, and that's very impressive. What would you say, Coach, is unique about St. Joseph's when you compare it to other schools, maybe that you can use as kind of a plus for your recruiting? What's a little unique about St. Joe's?
When we recruit, we're always looking for students first. That's a big part of who I am. I think the small enrollment is a draw for us. The fact that you're going to be in a class, if you're an accounting major, you might be in a class of 8 or 12 students. You're not in this big university where you're going to be one of 45 or 80, whatever it might be. Your teachers know you. And what I love, and I tell our student athletes right at the beginning of the year, you got to be in class because the professor will know if you're not there. Because they're only looking at one of 15.
Yeah, you can't hide.
And you insult that professor. And I said that person's there. It's a job, but it's a dedication. It's a vocation, and they want you there. And we've been so blessed with our student athletes because they really do pride themselves in the academic end of things. So that is a big sell for recruiting. We go after students who have good grades, dual purpose also because financially, if they have good grades, they're going to get themselves some sort of scholarship, and that helps us with competitive schools as well. But I think our culture, I think the small environment, the family environment, those are really our biggest draw.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, as regards to like the skill level and what you're looking at basketball-wise in your players, what would you consider quality players for your program, Coach, regarding point guards or shooting guards? What are you looking for in the players that you're trying to bring into the program?
It's tricky because you all want that talent. All coaches want the talented player. And when you go to games and when you go, I love to go to high school games. That's my thing. I know a lot of coaches like the AU circuit or some. I love high school games. I love sitting there watching them. And talent usually opens your eyes right away. But, I look for guys who pick others up. You look for the guy who's the first to pick somebody up after they took a charge.
Sure.
It's not so much the talent. What I look for is a guy who plays the game the right way, a guy who respects the game, That's what we try and sell. It's a privilege for us to be in that gym every day, practicing games. Everything, every day is a privilege. No day is promised to us. So, we got to enjoy today because we don't know what tomorrow brings. And that's what we try and sell. So when you're looking at, potential student athletes, that's really what I'm looking for. You want a point guard who you're always looking for decision making. I look for decision making more
Mm-hmm.
than raw talent.
Right, right. And Coach, you make a great point when you talk about you're looking to bring in quality individuals because and being on the other side of it, in all my years coaching as well, is that we are spending so much time with these young men. Practice and games 6 days a week. For us, we had extensive road trips. So you're spending so much time with these young men. And frankly, as a person, you want to be spending quality time with quality people. And the only way to success, over a long period of time, like yourself with your long tenure at St. Joe's, is that you have to have quality people if you're going to last and you're going to build a program over time. After I retired from NYU, I spent a year with the Hoop Group, and I did a lot of talks at the summer exposure camps and then our fall events to the kids about what coaches are looking for. And, I would highlight basically what you were just talking about, that, you have to understand as coaches, we're watching during a timeout who's watching and whose eyes are on their coach, or who's not in the huddle and who's off to the side by themselves as regards to, how they're conducting themselves. And, obviously, if we can find those who are buying in 100% and can also really play, now you have the whole package.
100%. I agree with you completely. Yes.
Great. Coach, like during the season, I think, kids realize the commitment, but only to a degree. How do you work navigating and assisting your players with balancing their academics with basketball?
I've been in education now for, a good 23, 24 years myself. So the funny thing is, and I have a lot of conversations in school with our students about basketball. And I always say, that gym is our classroom. You're a teacher when you're a coach, and that's our classroom. And our practices are similar to what you're doing in the classroom every day. And our games, those are the assessments. That's where, you see where you're at. We try to be as supportive as possible to our players. We encourage them. We let them know, we had a couple of kids who have gone through the last 4 years, and we haven't been that successful in terms of wins or losses for the past 4 years. And you put in a lot of time, and that's tough. But if I was judged by wins and losses, I probably would have been let go a while ago. That's not the end all be all for me. But we praise our guys when they do well in the classroom. You want to motivate them because, the great thing about college is they're young men. I look at them as kids too. They get the benefit of both. When they make a mistake, that's all right. You're still a kid, but you expect them to be men. But I think encouragement is a big thing. And of course, the support, and we have a great administration. We're small. I think our athletics department has 7 full-time employees, but they could not be any more cohesive and supportive. And they're going to get our student athletes the help if they need the help. But the biggest thing, and I'm sure it is, whenever you ask them, "Oh, I'm fine, coach. I'm fine, coach." And I always tell them, when you tell me you're fine, I know you're not fine.
Right.
But it's encouragement, and basketball works around academics. I've had players tell me, "Coach, I can't take that class. It's going to interfere with practices." No, you take the class. We will try and adjust our practice schedule around that. And I'm fortunate to work with our women's coach, Tom Flahive, who you couldn't ask for a better person to work with, because, "Coach, can we switch a practice?" And he doesn't think twice, even if it's an inconvenience for him or his girls. He doesn't care, because we work together, and it's so important in a school like ours.
Oh, well, Coach, I couldn't agree more on the Division III level. And I was blessed myself, with Janice Quinn, you, because it's Division III basketball or whatever sport, being able to work together and, being able to assist each other as things come up, it's invaluable. So I totally get it. Coach, what about your conference? Can you speak a little bit about your conference?
We are in the skyline right now. We've just completed our 5th year, and it has been a major adjustment for us. When I first started, we had some nice success, but the schedule wasn't the same as what we play now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we don't step on the court with anybody that we're going to beat unless we are playing to the best of our ability. From top to bottom, 25 games, every game is tough. I think the skyline this past year, we've gone back to now we have 2 divisions. So we played 16 conference games, and every one of them is brutal. I'd like to think our conference has really been pretty strong. Some of the state schools, Purchase or Westbury, Farmingdale, have been very strong. Yeshiva was fantastic this year, as they've been the past couple. But even I'd like to think we were a pretty talented team, and we were towards the bottom. St. Joe's, Long Island, they struggled a little bit. They played everybody tough. Credit to their players, their coach and staff, because every game they competed, and it speaks volumes to what our conference was. I'm proud to be a part of the skyline. I great rapport with the coaches. I think the coaches are fantastic. I think that the way we represent our schools is fantastic, and the competitiveness is, you couldn't ask for more. It's a lot of fun.
Great. And Coach, what about as regards to your recruitment of players? Are there like a typical number of schools that you are kind of usually competing with for student athletes, or does it kind of run across, a lot of different schools?
What I've noticed more recently, the players that we have been recruiting, they're either looking to go away, and it's usually a state school because it's inexpensive in comparison to what we are. In our conference, we have the SUNY schools. They are significantly cheaper. Their tuition and their dorms are almost half of what our tuition costs as a private school. That's tough. We compete with the city universities. Their tuition is a lot cheaper. And even the other teams in our conference, with the exception of St. Joe's, Long Island, I believe, they all have dorms on campus. Wow. So we are at a disadvantage in terms of recruiting. It's difficult. It's you hope that you could somehow, when we recruit, try and let these guys know that as their coach and staff, we are committed to them for the rest of their lives, not for 4 years. And it's not about winning a basketball game. Of course, we want to do it, but we want to see you succeed in life. And every lesson we teach you is trying to prepare you for life. And, when you graduated in 2015 and you're finishing up your last semester of law school in the spring of 2020, we know about it. When guys have children 15 years later, we know about it. Who just turned 1 yesterday, we know about it. These are all our former players who graduated 14 years ago, 1-year-old baby yesterday. That's what it's all about. And if you could get these guys to understand that you really care that much, it gives you a shot.
Absolutely. No doubt. And Coach, so when you go after this year, of course, we're talking about a very atypical, I would imagine, off season. So what would a typical off season, be for your players?
Or, what's nice is we're small, and the culture, the environment has been great. Whether we were successful or not, there's just been a tradition where our players, there's always a close, camaraderie amongst our team. Mm-hmm. And the off season, they're really, they're on their own. For me personally, for a staff, we're watching tapes of old games. We're looking back at this year. What do we need to work on come October 15th? That's really my focus. And I rely on the upperclassmen to get them together. We played in some tournaments over the past couple of summers, and they said, "Coach, we were playing. That's great. I'm happy for you guys. You're enjoying yourselves because that's what I care about. You're having fun. As long as I know they're playing, but we're really not involved. We're not hands-on in the summer at all. That's not anything that we've done in the past."
Okay, great. Coach, as regards to like, I guess over your 18 years, I'm sure you can look back at all your seasons and point out, you know, great memories. Could you talk to us about one or two, special seasons that you might have had?
You know, I was 3 years as an assistant prior to, being promoted to the head coaching position. And that first year, we're non-NCAA school, and we were part of the USCAA, which I think at its start was the NSCAA, National Small College Athletic Association, went to the United States Collegiate Athletic Association, and they're all non-NCAA schools, a lot of junior colleges. And my first year as a head coach, and again, top to bottom, I don't think our schedule was great, but we finished with a decent record, and we got invited to this national tournament, USCAA. I think we were a 6 seed, and first game, we were down the whole game, and somehow or another, in the last few minutes of the game, who really was our star player throughout the year, but not a three-point threat. I think in the last 6 minutes of the game, he hits 3 threes, and we end up winning, almost essentially at the buzzer. We went to the semifinals against a team that had lost maybe 2 games the entire season, and that game went down to the last possession. We won that one. We got beat up in the final, but it was just a great experience for our guys. It was something our school has not experienced on the men's side. My first few years were successful. Then we struggled a little bit with the transition to the NCAA. And I would say, I think it was 2011, we recruited a young man, Dave Lewis, and he played at St. Edmund Prep.
Oh, I was good. Yes, St. Edmunds. I know the kid well.
And he is finishing up his last semester in law school right now. And what a great, great kid. And that's who you want representing your school. And Dave was a talented player, no questions asked. But Dave's heart and his intelligence, and his character, that's what made Dave. And he turned our program around with his teammates, of course. And nobody does it alone. But he brought us instant credibility as a freshman. We started competing with schools that we were not playing with in previous years. And the following year, we ended up getting Matt O'Neill from St. Edmunds, and we got Mike Megafu from Nazareth High School. And, Mike now is in medical school down in Missouri. But they very talented players, and their 5 years were really, no matter who we stepped on the court against, I was confident that we were going to compete. And, I can't say regret, but my one wish is that we would have been in the skyline for Dave Lewison's senior year, because I think that may have been one of the most talented teams we've ever had. And, we went into the skyline the next year, and twofold. I would have loved for Dave and his classmates, and another player who I should definitely bring up is Vernon Maddox played for us. I taught Vernon in grammar school, and his brother Irvin. Vernon I taught. He came to us. Vernon was our point guard, and he came in with Dave, and he was a huge factor in everything we did. But their senior year, I think we would have been able to compete in the skyline. We had a very nice year, but then the following year was Mike Megafu, Matt O'Neill's senior year. We got a transfer named Mike Murray, who's coaching at St. Rose Knight right now. Tough as nails.
I worked with Mike at Hoop Group.
I tell you, I don't know if I would have been able to coach him and Matt O'Neill for 4 years because they came from the same mold, but they were as tough as nails. They did not back down from anybody. And with Jameer Archer, a Staten Island kid who really, Jameer, forgive me, I think he overachieved. He was fantastic for a couple years for us, but we finished 500. I think we were 13-12, Mike's senior year in the skyline, and we snuck into the playoffs.
Right.
I think had we been in a year before with Dave, that team was very, very strong. And I think it would have gotten those seniors, Mike Megafu, Matt O'Neill, Mike Murray, I think it would have introduced them to really the competitive, grinding skyline. But we snuck in anyway, and this goes to it, and I apologize for being long-winded on this. But so we finished our last game of the season. We needed to win to keep our playoff hopes alive, and that was on a Wednesday. We won that game at home. And then because of snow, games that were snowed out, teams were playing on Thursday and Saturday, and we were sitting and watching, and we needed teams basically to lose to get in.
Out of your control.
Yes, and sure enough, it just fell into place for us. We snuck into the playoffs, and we opened up at Farmingdale on a Tuesday night. I think it was 10 days prior, Farmingdale beat us by 20 out at their place. And I was confident going there because I knew what we had, and like we're very confident in our plays. And we were down 12 in the second half. Matt O'Neill probably accounted for the next 11 points with his passing, shooting, everything. We got back in the game, and we were able to squeak it out. 2 days later, we travel up to Sage, and we played them tough during the year, but they were a good team. They were the 2 seed,
Okay.
and we dominated the first half, and we let them go on a run. And I think it was basically tied up or a 1-point game at halftime. And then we went out and we outplayed them again in the second half, which was great. We won that one. We came back, and then we went to Old Westbury on Saturday early. I think it was a 12 o'clock game or 1 o'clock, whatever it was. And we were up 1 at halftime, and we ended up falling short in the second half. But the week of basketball for our team, for our players, for our school, that Saturday, we needed teams to lose. So we're watching those games. From Saturday to Saturday, those 8 days of basketball could not have been any more fun for our players. And the 2 seasons I highlighted, really, that USCA tournament in 2003, it was a good 6 days we were there. And that Skyline tournament, and I think it was 2016, there was the same thing, just 8 days of so much fun.
Yeah, that's great, Coach. And as I'm sure you already know, over the years, the experiences that you have, the great thing is being able to, I know I used to do this, is impart, some of those prior experiences to your teams, when it's appropriate. You talk about losing to Farmingdale by 20 and then coming back to beat them in the playoffs. Within a week?
Yeah, it's 10 days later.
Yeah, and saying how you never know. That's why you play the game. I talk about, one of the stories, and I have a lot of them because it was 30 years at NYU. But I took over as head coach in the middle of a season. Coach Musio stepped away, and he just concentrated on the deputy director duties. So I was the interim coach in 88, 89. So Coach's last game, we played at home against Brandeis, and it was our alumni day, and we lost by 30. And that was Coach's last game. It was unfortunate, but that's how his last game went. Well, like 2 weeks later, we're now on the road, and I'm coaching at Brandeis, and it's Brandeis's alumni game, and we beat them by 30. So, yeah, and you could just, going in there, it was like these guys thought, they thought, I understand it, that the game was over before it started, like they couldn't lose. But, as things unfold, that this is a crazy game and anything could happen at any time.
100%. And it also goes back to, too, where they're kids. And no matter how much you tell them and you prep them that, this is a new day,
right.
Sometimes they'll get a little overconfident.
Well,
no matter
Coach,
what you say.
I really enjoyed the time that we got to spend to talk about St. Joe's, your program. On a personal note, I would really say that I think any young man that is looking at, staying closer to home and is looking at a commuter option and wants to play basketball, if the majors that they're looking at are at St. Joe's, it would be a great option for them. And I certainly think that having a coach who has been there a long time, has stability, one of the things I think the kids will know is that if they're looking at St. Joe's, there's a great chance they know they're going to be playing for Coach for the next 4 years because there's been stability there. So, Coach, I wish you all the best going forward. I hope recruiting goes well. And look forward to staying in touch, and hopefully we'll get to see you as things maybe get back to normal.
I appreciate it, Coach. Thank you very much. And, God bless you. Stay well during this time.
Okay. All the best. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.